The Mystery of Dyatlov Pass, 1959. The wind cut like invisible blades that February night in 1959. Among snow-covered mountains and absolute silence, 9 young Russians, experienced mountaineers, pitched their tents in one of the most inhospitable places in the Ural Mountains, in the north of what was then the Soviet Union. None of them knew that this would be the last camping trip of their lives. The group, the leader was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. Intelligent, meticulous, and passionate about challenges, Igor had organized several previous expeditions. With him were 8 other adventurers: Zinaida Kolmogorova, Yuri Doroshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Rustem Slobodin, Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Tybo-Brigyols, Yuri Krivonishenko, Semyon Zolotaryov, and Yuri Yudin, the only one who, for health reasons, would give up and return before things got worse. They were about to embark on a 300-kilometer ski hike through the ice-covered mountains. Their final destination was Mount Otorten, a remote region whose name, in the indigenous Mansi language, meant "Don't go there." The departure on January 27, 1959. The group left the small town of Vizhe, excited and full of energy. They carried heavy backpacks, ski equipment, food for days, cameras, and travel diaries. The first part of the journey was peaceful. They laughed, sang Soviet songs, and took photos, records that still exist, revealing ordinary young people, smiling and full of dreams. But the weather began to change. On January 31st, the wind picked up. The snow thickened. Visibility decreased drastically. On February 1st, they deviated from their planned route and ended up on a slope of Mount Kholat Syakhl, which in the Mansi language means Mountain of Death. There, they decided to set up camp despite the approaching storm. It would be the last time anyone would see them alive. The disappearance, the group had arranged to send a telegram of arrival by February 12th. When the day passed and nothing arrived, no one worried. Delays were common. But as the days turned into weeks, the families began to pressure the Soviet authorities. On February 20th, a rescue team set out in search of the young men. Experienced mountaineers, soldiers, and even local Mansi hunters participated in the operation. For days, nothing was found, only snow, wind, and silence. Until on February 26th, a helicopter spotted something strange on a white hillside. A tent torn from the inside out. The camp scene. When the rescuers arrived, the scene looked like something out of a nightmare. The tent, partially covered by snow, had been cut open with knives, as if someone had tried to escape in haste. Inside, there were still backpacks, boots, warm clothes, food, all intact. But the mountaineers had fled barefoot, almost naked, in minus 30 degrees Celsius. The snow around showed footprints, some barefoot, others with socks or just one boot. The marks led towards the forest, about 1.5 kilometers down the slope. Rescuers followed the trails, and what they found next was never forgotten. The first bodies near the edge of the forest, under a large cedar tree, the first bodies were found: Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko. They were half-naked, barefoot, with burns on their hands and feet, as if they had desperately tried to light a fire. Above them, Broken branches more than 5 meters high indicated that someone had climbed the tree, perhaps to search for the tent in the dark. Between the cedar tree and the campsite, 3 more bodies were found: Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida, and Rustem Slobodin. All were lying in the snow in different directions, as if they had tried to return to the tent. Their positions suggested death by hypothermia, but there were strange injuries: bruises, skull fractures, signs of a struggle. But the worst was yet to come. The thaw reveals the horror. 2 months later, when the snow began to melt, the last 4 bodies were found in a ravine about 75 meters from the cedar tree. These, however, presented injuries that no ordinary accident could explain. Lyudmila Dubinina had broken ribs and her tongue torn out. Nikolai Thibault Brignol had a crushed skull. Alexander Kolovatov and Semyon Zolotaryov had multiple internal fractures, but no signs of external injuries. It was as if they had been struck by an immense force, something comparable to a car accident. Furthermore, their clothing showed high levels of radiation. The mystery, the official Soviet report, was vague. The members of the Dyatlov group died due to an irresistible natural force. No concrete explanation was given. The case was closed in 1959 and the files classified. But rumors spread and theories multiplied. Theory 1: human error and panic. Some believe the young men heard a terrifying sound, perhaps an avalanche, and in panic tore their tent to escape. But there were no signs of an avalanche. The terrain was flat, and the tent remained standing. Furthermore, why didn't they turn back when they realized their mistake? Theory 2: secret military experiments. Others suggest the region was used by the Soviet Army for missile and chemical weapons tests. Witnesses reported orange lights in the sky that same night. High levels of radiation and subsequent government censorship reinforced this hypothesis. Theory 3: attack by the Mansi natives. Some suggested an attack by the Mansi people, native to the region. But no different footprints were found, and the Mansi helped in the search, even being the first to locate the camp. Theory 4: unknown natural phenomenon. Modern scientists suggest a rare combination of factors: strong winds, a phenomenon called infrasonic sound, which can cause panic and disorientation, and extreme cold. This would explain why the group fled barefoot, confused, and disoriented. But it still doesn't explain the massive fractures and radiation. Yuri Yudin, the only survivor. The only one who escaped was Yuri Yudin, who had returned due to back pain before the tragedy. Years later, he stated in interviews, "If I hadn't gotten sick, I would have died with them. Sometimes I think the mountains spared me for some reason." He lived tormented by the mystery until his death in 2013. New investigations. In 2019, exactly 60 years later, the Russian government reopened the case. The new investigation concluded that a small avalanche forced the group out of their tent and that the intense cold caused their deaths. But independent experts continue to disagree. The position of the bodies, the internal injuries, and the lack of snow at the campsite do not coincide with this version. To this day, Dyatlov Pass is a place of pilgrimage. A wooden cross marks the spot where the bodies were found, and those who visit the site swear they hear the wind howling like distant voices. as if the 9 adventurers still wandered the icy slopes of Death Mountain. Epilogue. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass case remains without a definitive answer. Was it a natural tragedy, a military experiment, an inexplicable phenomenon, or something beyond our comprehension? All that is known is that on that night of February 1st, 1959, 9 young Russians encountered something that no one could explain, and to this day the snow of the Ural Mountains guards its secret. Some mysteries don't need monsters to be frightening. The silence of a mountain that never answers is enough. If you enjoyed the story, leave a like and subscribe to hear more true stories.